For the next few weeks, we are going to talk about the 8 parts of speech. I have to say, this is my most favorite part of language arts because everything we do, no matter what we say, if you text it, if you email it, whatever it is, it all stems from these 8 parts of speech because every word you use falls into one of these 8, the way that you use it in the sentence. And we don't think about that, but to me, that's a pretty cool thing. So I'm excited for us to spend some time getting to know what those 8 parts of speech are. And we're going to use IXL for our practices to help us through each one of these weeks worth of different types of speech that we are learning. All right, so let's get started. This week is part 1. Nouns. You've learned nouns probably in kindergarten, first grade, because you know that they are people, a place, a thing, and then sometimes we forget that they are actually an idea as well. And so we're going to spend a few minutes just talking about nouns. Nouns are fairly simple. Okay, we know people, we know places. Then when you look at a noun, you have the lowercase nouns, which are what we call a common noun. Common noun means that it's not capitalized. It's just a general word like woman. And then we also have proper people, proper places, things, and ideas. We're a specific name of something. And so a proper noun would be like saying Mrs. Woods. A common noun means that there's lots of different women in the world. Okay, so we're not being specific. It's just common. The woman walked across the street. But then when you are very specific on who that woman is, it's Mrs. Woods walked across the street. Then you have a proper noun. And when you have a proper noun, whether it is a person's name, whether it's a planet, a place, a restaurant, a certain type of animal, whatever it is, you must capitalize it. And that's something I noticed that we are struggling with. We do not capitalize the words that we need to. So that's something we are going to practice as well as we go through these parts of speech. So nouns are people, places, things, and ideas. All right, let's move on. Our next part of speech are adjectives. Adjectives are very, very important because they add the detail to our writing. An adjective describes a noun or a pronoun. Okay, so an example would be blue bird. Okay, if I just said, oh, I saw a bird. Okay, well, there are lots of different birds, so everyone has a completely different idea in their head of what bird I saw. But then if I tell you, oh, I just saw a blue bird, then it paints a completely different picture because blue is describing the bird, giving it more detail, which makes it easier for your reader to picture what is going on. If I said that she is wearing a shirt, well, that's fantastic. Glad she's wearing a shirt. But if I said she is wearing a red and white polka dotted shirt, then that paints you a whole new picture of what you originally imagined. So those details are key because they really help to express what you're wanting someone to understand. And it's how you explain, use that in your elaboration. It's how you get them to picture what it is you're talking about. Also, when we talk about adjectives, we have these little guys right here called articles, a, an, and the, like a tree, because when you use a, when the next letter is a consonant, you have an ice cream cone, and you use an when the next letter is a vowel, or you have the pen. So these are not specific adjectives where a blue shirt is a specific adjective because we can picture blue with the shirt. But a tree, well, there are a lot of trees, but which tree? A tree. So you are still kind of starting to describe which tree, but it's just not a specific way. And those are called articles. And so those are also considered adjectives, because one of the activities, once we get through the 8 parts of speech, is we're going to give you a sentence. And you're going to label each word in that sentence based off of how it's used in the definitions. And so it would be really a good idea to just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, that articles are also considered adjectives. All right. Hopefully you've written all this down in your notes. You wrote the word adjectives, wrote the definition, any key points or an example, and let's move on. Now we have pronouns. Okay, so what you need to understand is that pronouns, no matter what type of pronoun they are, this is their main function. They replace a noun. Instead of saying Susie went to the store to get Susie's dinner, that's kind of redundant. We wouldn't say Susie twice. So what we normally would do is we would replace this Susie right here with what? Anybody know? Exactly, her. Susie went to the store to get her dinner. Well, her is a pronoun, so you have just used pronouns, believe it or not. Pronouns are very simple. They're what you use all of the time. You just don't realize it. And when we were doing our essay writing, we were talking about how we don't want to use personal pronouns. I can't draw an arrow, sorry. Personal pronouns, because those are not formal. Personal pronouns are like I, me, my, you. And so when we talk about personal pronouns, we always wanted to do third person when you were doing your essays, like he, she, they. Those are personal pronouns. Indefinite pronouns are not specific. Reflexive pronouns just reflect back to a subject. Interrogative or interrogative pronouns are ones that ask questions. Relative or relative pronouns relate to a topic. Demonstrative or demonstrative pronouns emphasize a topic, and then intensive pronouns intensify something. And I left one off, which is be possessive pronouns. Sorry about that. Possessive pronouns show ownership. Like that is their dog. No matter what type of pronoun it might be, its ultimate function is to replace the noun. It's to make the sentence sound better. It's to help it to not be repetitive, saying the same word or person's name over and over, and being able to replace that with a proper pronoun that fits into the sentence, that matches what you're talking about, to help the sentence to have a better flow. And that's pretty much the point of a pronoun. They don't have a huge definition, but they are huge whenever we use them in our essays and in our writing our sentences, because they help our sentences to have that flow to them. So make sure you write this down in your notes. Moving on. All right, so we have talked about the first 3 parts of speech that we wanted to focus on, and those were nouns. So quick recap. Nouns are person, place, thing, or an idea. You have adjectives. Adjectives describe nouns and pronouns. And then you have the pronoun. The whole sole purpose of a pronoun is to replace a noun. Not so hard. That's 3 out of the 8. So now your job is going to be to log into IXL. There'll be directions posted for you in Schoology for you to follow, class codes, because everything is different than it was the last time we used it. We had to change things up. And you're going to have specific assignments that are going to be chosen for you to practice these 3 parts of speech and some capitalization and some other grammar stuff as we prepare for the next part of FSA. So good luck to you. Make sure you have all of this written down so that you can refer back to it to help you out as you go along with these 8 parts of speech. Have a great day, guys.